I can't believe it. It's back. The Gibson RD is back. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Around 1977, Gibson Research and Development came out with a new model known as the RD, standing for the Department, Research and Development. It was kind of like an Explorer that got rounded off like a Firebird. They're certainly not for everyone, but there were three different versions to the guitar when it first launched. There was the Custom, which typically featured a maple fretboard and either a walnut or a natural finish. And then there was the full-on Artist. That one had the gold hardware, the ebony fretboard with the block inlays, and one of the coolest headstock veneers of all time. But then there was also the RD Standard that did not have any of the fancy Moog electronics in it. So essentially think of them as regular guitar, maple fretboard option with some fancy electronics, super ultra fancy guitar, also with the Moog electronics, with all the blinginess you could want. There were also bass versions, but I'm not going to cover those today. These were not necessarily all that popular at first, however, people started to like these because of their 25.5-inch scale length. Now, a few years after their introduction, they actually shortened them down to 24 3/4. And they've actually reissued these from time to time, such as this 2010 one that we documented in this episode. Generally, when they reissued them, they would do the 24 3/4-inch scale length and make everyone upset. But the last time Gibson made an RD was in 2018. For a 40th anniversary RD Artist, they had these new Gibson Gem electronics that they wanted to try, and they thought this would be the perfect opportunity. But instead of a fancy headstock cap with the flighted F-hole, they just decided to give it the fancy Gibson Mother of Pearl logo, old pre-war style, and then have the most plain RD Artist looking truss rod cover you could imagine. But again, this one was 24 3/4-inch scale. So look what AMS leaked a little bit too early. A custom shop RD. We have never seen a custom shop RD before. That's a big deal in and of itself, but we also have the price now. It's $5,800. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. It appears we have multiply binding on the top. It's only being offered in an ebony finish, and they have retained the gold hardware. You'll also notice that they have put binding on the fretboard, which is something that RD artists in the past have not had. So this is basically a brand new thing for RD lovers that you can buy and have alongside other ones and still have something different. Now, it does not look like any crazy electronics, active pickups, or anything like that. This appears to be relatively tame in that aspect. The spec sheet calls it a 490R 498T pickup set. I think it would have been cool to at least have in and out of phase and coil splitting, but no, this is just regular bare bones Gibson custom shop electronics. But now moving on to the back, I'm kind of surprised they did this. We have a stock comfort cut guitar, kind of like an Access Les Paul Custom, because I thought for sure we were going to see this thing be double bound and it'd just be completely blocky, but no, they let it go. Our control layout does appear to actually be very extended though. Like, more extended than we actually need. Hold on a second here. I had to check just to make sure they didn't do anything crazy, but no. I'm really curious what they have in there. Why does that have to be so big? But anyways, moving on to our headstock, it's full-on custom here. We don't have any wording on our truss rod cover, and it looks like we're going to rock some Grover tuners. And the back of the headstock looks like just about any other black custom shop Gibson. So, did they learn their lesson? Is it finally 25.5-inch scale length, or is it the regular 24 3/4? RD fans, they listened. It's actually 25.5, which is a big deal because this now fills a gap within Gibson's lineup. People who like the slightly longer scale, they now have at least an option. It's not the most traditional Gibson, but there is an option outside of old custom limited editions, such as the Les Paul long scale. And oh my, mahogany body and neck. I guess that puts it in line with the other reissues that they've done in the past within Gibson USA, but that's vastly different because that's what the RD is mainly known for, is, being maple everywhere. So that's either going to be a love it or leave it spec. But as far as being $5,800, that's the same price as like an Explorer Custom. Also matches the Flying V Custom. So that makes sense, and it's just a little bit more than a Les Paul Custom. SG Customs don't have any binding, so they're a little bit cheaper. So within Gibson's family of brands, yeah, the price makes sense. However, that is a lot of money for an RD. Because just right now, you can buy a vintage original for like $2,000. Some artists, they're asking $3,000. These aren't, insanely popular guitars, so to release a brand new one for double the price of regular player's grade models, now sometimes the really clean collector's ones might fetch close to that, but that's kind of pushing it. So we'll have to see how these sell. I really do want to review one, so let's New Guitar Day one, someone. We'll feature your guitar on the show. But what I'm more excited about is Gibson has a habit of releasing the custom shop thing, letting it run, sell as many as they can for the first year or so, and then Gibson USA says, hey, do you want to have a version of this? So you might see a Gibson USA $2,500 release in the future, and then after that, an Epiphone run. Because currently, if you want an Epiphone RD, you have to be cool with Lee Malia and the Les Paul artisan-like attributes that he put on his signature guitar. Which, that's cool and all, but if you wanted what a 70s RD was, that doesn't exactly capture it. But those were from 2017-ish. They did Explorers and Les Pauls like that too. This also opens up the unique opportunity to potentially have the first Gibson lefty RD. I have never seen a Gibson branded one be a lefty. So if you've always wanted that and you didn't want an Eastwood or something, you've at least got a chance now. Now, as far as when this is going to be officially released, I don't know. Because currently, if I refresh this page, it's gone. I just happened to save that before they took it down. So maybe it's Tuesday, maybe it's Thursday, maybe it's a few months off. Fun fact, Cesar actually teased this 6 weeks ago on his Instagram, but at that point, you didn't know if that was just something he made for himself, it's just a one-off prototype. It is now officially in production. We know AMS at least had 2, so that means other dealers across the country probably have them. They're just waiting for an official launch date. And so far, that's all that I know that have leaked. Who knows? Maybe the Gibson USA Epiphone stuff could happen a lot sooner. Maybe there's other colors. Maybe the mod collection's gonna go crazy on one of these. Maybe they'll come out with a flametop version of this. Time will tell. Which, by the way, flametop versions do exist. It's called the RD CMT. That also happened in the bass category. So this is all ripe for exploration if Gibson gets the sales. Now I've got some additional fun guitar hunting for you guys tonight. So over in Japan, Ishibashi Music listed a really cool conundrum guitar. It's labeled as a 1974 Gibson Les Paul Custom VOS Silverburst. Cool. Except for Silverburst didn't exist in 1974. It was prototyped in 1977. The first half year of it was 78, and 79 is that first 100% full year. So to put that on a 74 reissue, I think that's to get around the whole Adam Jones thing, that they can, legally make it, because it's still a little bit too fresh to spec something out exactly like that. But you get things like the 70s Gibson logo, the volute on the backside of the neck, factory ABR1 bridge. Depending on when this was made, it might even have the custom shop reissue pancake body construction. But most importantly, it's going to have the mahogany neck. But did you notice anything else strange about this one? Gold hardware. It's not traditional, but it grows on you the more you see it. But I'm curious, does this have the Super 74 humbuckers? It does. Awesome. It also has that 14-degree head angle pitch. And the fact that you can get this as VOS, non-aged, I really think that's a very fair price for this guitar. I think somebody should pick that up, because apparently this was a Japan exclusive custom order, because whoa, look at that crazy serial number. Usually, I think it's 6 digits, so 001323, but for this particular run, they made them put the 74 in front of it. So somebody could accidentally read that as 1971, 400th day of the year, Kalamazoo built 323rd production number made in USA. But no, that whole serial number system didn't even exist until mid-1977. Which, come to think of it, having the made in USA stamp like that is actually very rare on a custom shop. That is cool. But next up, we have a cool Carina Blonde SG Standard. There was a run of these in the 90s that has a laminated body. It's Carina Walnut Carina, and I've been on the lookout for the very right one to document. But when this one popped up, early 2000s, that's when they started to bring back Carina again. They seem to do that every 10 or so years, and occasionally you'll get weird runoff models like these where they just make a couple of Carina SGs. But this one is not laminated, so if you wanted it to not have that characteristic, that's not a wood choice you see very often on an SG. Now, do I think SGs pull off Carinas as well as Explorers and Flying Vs? Not exactly. There's no history here outside of Gibson first playing around in the 90s, but it's different, it's unique, and it's on reverb for $5,500 by Top Notch Guitars. We were talking about SG Customs being a little bit cheaper. Here's a really cool custom color and flame top one for $44. I didn't think that was too bad for a custom order one like this, because I've seen new ones list for like $6,000 like this. Similarly spec'd, because once you add the maple top, that's when things get a bit crazy to the prices. But in case you're wondering, the back is still mahogany. You can just see a seam line right here But not only does this one have the cool fire mist finish and figured maple top, but they spec'd it out with abalone. So you get those interesting blue and green hues within your Gibson logo, the customs, as well as your block inlays on your fretboard. But my question is, does it really work with that finish? I don't think so. But it is fun for abalone lovers. But you can find that over at Abby's Place. That appears to be an individual seller. But alright, Troglodytes, I think that's enough fun for tonight. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.